Welcome back. It's Nigeria 2015 on Channels Television, and indeed we are taking a look at the announcement of the results of the presidential elections and the issues arising thereof. Well, I'm still here with Kadira and Olumide, but also at this point we are being joined by the Channels Television consultants on Nigeria 2015. I'll begin with Professor Patricia Akpanobong of the Arizona State University. She's a lecturer there.
Thank you.
And of course, the legal practitioner, Mr. G.T. Ogunye.
Yes, thanks for inviting me. It's a pleasure.
Well then, the results have been announced, at least if we consider that it's half the number plus the Federal Capital Territory. Then we have the second half to go. Out of 36 states, 18 states have been announced, along with the Federal Capital Territory, making it 19. We still have 18 to go. But then maybe I'll start from the point of view of comparisons, between 2011 and 2015. How far have we come as far as the conduct of polls is concerned, and even up to the announcement of results? If we go back down memory lane, I'll start with the Prof.
Okay. Well, maybe we should have started with him. I wasn't in the country during 2011, but from what I observed from a distance, what I noticed that is different in this election is the care, the attention that INEC has given, especially in the collation of results. We saw all that production about, each collation officer coming out to list and all of that. In a way, it's really tedious and boring because Nigerians just want, it's like, get to the result. We want the result. But on the other hand, we also appreciate the attentiveness because given the violence that occurred in 2011, I think we should do all that we can to avoid a repeat of that violence. And I think it's in the interest of transparency that the INEC chairman, Professor Jega, is going through all of this stress, even stress in the sense that a lot of Nigerians, their blood pressure is really going up. It's like, just give us the facts, just get to the point, and then we can deal with the details later. So for me, I think that's a difference. Again, I can't speak much about 2011 because I wasn't here. All I know about what happened that year was just what I read or saw from a distance. But I really appreciate the attention that is being given to this, even though it's kind of painful. It's like pulling teeth at this point.
Well, Barrister Ogunye, you were very much around, weren't you?
Yes, I was around. Now, in terms of comparisons, I think that this year's election is not remarkably different from 2011 election in terms of the challenges of logistics, management, and the general conduct of the election. I mean, in 2011, we had a big problem at the outset. The electoral materials that are going to be used were not even in the country at the point. They were supposed to be delivered through the airport, and up to the day of the election, some of these materials were still being inspected. We then forced a postponement of the election. Everybody recalls that. Now, in this year's election, we had staggered elections. Even a place like Lagos, with all the assurances that electoral materials have been decentralized in terms of distribution to the local government and ward level, electoral materials weren't delivered to some polling units until 5 o'clock, until 6 o'clock. And in certain parts of Lagos, people are still voting as early, I won't say as late, as early as 3 a.m. the following morning. And of course, the elections were also conducted the following day on Sunday. So some of the features of 2011 election, which were very worrying then, still replicated themselves in this year's election. However, because of the introduction of the PVC, the Permanent Voters Card, moving from the data capturing of the biometrics and the identities and particulars of voters from 2011 and the card reader, there was a great expectation before the election was conducted that with this card reader, perhaps the votes of the electorate will count. And that, in my view, generated greater interest in the election, perhaps acted as a driver and a mobilizer of some sort, even for sheer curiosity on the part of many people who just wanted to know what this card reader was going to do. So for me, the introduction of the card reader, which unfortunately became a very controversial issue, needlessly, between, I won't say amongst, between the partisans, the two major political parties who are arguing and, arguing about whether to use it or not to use it and so on and so forth. And the INEC had to insist that it was going to be used. And now it was deployed, and then we saw what happened on election day. We've been told, and for me that's acceptable, and that's not condoning some of the lapses that we witnessed, but I'm being realistic here, that statistically the numbers of the card reader that failed eventually, was not much. And therefore, in terms of its utility, in terms of its functionality, in terms of its relevance to this election, the card readers
still leaves much to be desired.
Have come to stay.
Okay.
And so, rather than abandon these card readers, even in the coming election, in less than 2 weeks now, what INEC need to do moving forward, in my view, is to ensure that upon deployment of the card reader for the next election, the kind of failures that we have, which were avoidable, should not recur. And so if that is taken care of, I think that we can then say that, save the issue of logistics that I've talked about, that to the extent of the card reader being deployed and being able to make the votes of voters count, that this election is better than the last one we've had. For me, so is the critical intervention, is the critical addition that has added to the quality of this election in terms of comparison when compared to the last one. But apart from that, the issue of logistics, which is challenged by it, and so on and so forth. Earlier, I was listening to Kadera when I was talking about staggered announcement of results, whether we can do better than this, because it's adding to the apprehension and all that. She pointed out that now political parties need to be talking to their members to be calm and all that. And I think that that's a very valid point. But we are where we are, and we're told now that tomorrow we have to congregate again and then be glued to our television set to know about the results.
One wonders whether it's an oversight on the part of INEC for them not to tell us why the results are being delayed for the announcement till tomorrow.
No, I'll give you an example.
Because I think it's relevant that they do that.
And if you take the example of, say, a place like Bauchi, where when we were here yesterday, already they were collating results. Why do we know that? We know that because groups of people in Bauchi went to lay siege to the collation center and refused to move despite the fact that a curfew was announced, because they said they didn't want the results tampered with. Now, if you've started collating results in Bauchi last night, why is it that 24 hours on, we still don't have results from Bauchi? These are the sort of questions that, if INEC doesn't take the trouble to explain what the issues are, can leave room for people to begin to talk about shenanigans taking place to speculate. And these are very dangerous times.
And that would be really unfortunate, because that would defeat the whole purpose, what INEC is trying to do, to guarantee, to ensure the integrity of the process and transparency. But then things like this happen and you begin to wonder, I mean, between now and 10 o'clock tomorrow morning is a long time for a whole lot of things to happen, which will not happen, but the appearance sometimes is more significant than the reality of anything.
I want to pick up on the remark you made, Professor, about it being a laborious and painstaking process, like picking teeth was what you said, but that it was good, that it showed that it gave care to the process. But I wonder then, and it's a question, is that the best way to do this?
Well, sorry, if I may just quickly respond to that. I try not to make comparisons between the way things are here and the way things are in the country where I live. But I mean, this is really annoying. Looking at this, like she said, 48 hours now getting to 72 hours and the results are not there. Whereas we are trying to get to the point where with the card readers and with the technologies that we have, why the results could not be transmitted electronically right from the polling, each polling unit. But I don't want to compare because it's different elsewhere. By 7 o'clock, the last election, 2012 presidential election in the US, by 7 o'clock, whichever time zone that was, we knew who had won, and even when a state like California hadn't even closed the polls yet. So we should be able to get to that point, but maybe we are not there yet.
Well, sorry, Kadira. We definitely will be coming back to the issue of the imperfections in the system now. But at this moment, we need to take a break for the news at midnight. And by then, when it's over, we'll have crossed over effectively into Monday. And then maybe we'll start talking about the delays in the 48-hour window that we have actually exceeded. But for now, it's Nigeria 2015 live on Channels Television. The news comes up in just a moment, and we'll be back at the half hour to continue.